Hey, girl.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, you're always laughing at me. I don't understand it.
You got some nerve. You literally are the one who laughs the most between the two of us.
I do, and it's something that I need to probably not do as much because I know a lot of times I do it out of just like nerves or whatever. But
Oh my
just
gosh.
goes to show that you can still laugh after loss.
Laughter is good for the soul.
Definitely is. I've realized too, like even when you don't feel like laughing and then you do, you like feel like a smidge better.
Yeah, it really is a thing. It's medicine. Laughter is medicine.
It surely is.
It's like some Tylenol.
That's why I love to have you around because you make me laugh all the
I'm
time.
your Tylenol. I'm the Tylenol to your headache.
There you go. I'm gonna start calling you that now from now on.
Please don't. So, so
Uh,
in today's episode, I want to do a little reflecting. Um, I want to kind of talk about how, we have quite a few episodes in the bucket now for our podcast.
mm-hmm.
And I kind of want to reflect a little bit on just this thing we're doing, on how we are really talking about difficult experiences in our lives and sharing them with the world. You know,
Yeah,
we're pretty filterless on what we've been through
I think so.
and how it continues to affect us to days that are years after the fact of, you know, traumatic experiences that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
And, I see this podcast as not only support for people listening to us, but also for myself. Um,
Mm.
it's like therapeutic in the sense of being able to talk about what I've gone through and how it's affected me because that's not really stuff that you talk about out loud. Like, you'll talk about how you lost someone, but oh, I've grieved this way, or this is what I've done to cope, or these are unhealthy habits that I've engaged in. And
Mm-hmm.
it's, I don't know, I feel kind of proud of myself a little bit.
Kudos to you. But I understand what you're saying though, because it's like it's not often you'll come across somebody who is willing to just sit there and listen to you talk and talk about, your experiences and like the specifics and the
Hmm.
details and like the little things and the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's okay to like bring up someone during like a casual conversation and being like, "Oh, my dad used to do this or he used to do that or whatever." But not really going into the details of like what we went through because
Yeah.
it's just not something that's talked about and although it is hard, I do think it's important because, even an expected death, I guess you can call it, you
Hmm.
still go through your own like traumatic experiences and that takes a huge toll on people.
It really does.
And I'm learning that talking is a good thing to do.
It's kind of soothing. It's oddly soothing. And it's just nice to be able to like share your pain,
Mhm.
And even though it may not be as painful as when it first happened, but being able to say, like, this is what I went through. But here I am years later to say that I've made it through this painful moment. I
Right.
made it through these painful times. And it's truly helpful to others. Like, just thinking this past week that I've actually connected with one of my associates from work because they have lost someone
Mm.
and it tore them the fuck up. Like,
Yeah, I'm
they
sure.
were not in a good place. They wanted to, they didn't want to, but they felt triggered a little bit
Mm.
by unhealthy habits from their past and, was going to, put themselves in a place where they're not outside with society at the time to be able to get themselves together and to also avoid those triggers so that way
Mm.
they can maintain some sort of a healthy state with this terrible news they got.
Yeah.
And like, we have this open door policy at work where associates can come and talk to managers about anything, not have to worry about retaliation or being penalized in some type of way.
Mhm.
It's just an open door policy as clearly as it states. It's just being able to be able to sit down and talk and just get stuff off your chest.
Yeah, that's
And
good. It's important.
yes, this associate utilized this. And, I found that to be a little bit of a brave thing because for myself, my job is not the first place I'm going to be able to
Right.
like help myself.
Yeah.
Like my job helps me when it comes to maintaining my bills. But, when it comes to like a therapeutic factor or my mental health, my job impairs my mental health. They don't aid my mental health. So so here I am being able to be that support for someone
Mm.
was like it was awesome. Like it was a crappy situation, don't get me wrong.
Right, right.
And it was hard because there were times in a conversation I had to say, "Feel how you're feeling." It's okay to feel how you're feeling.
Mhm.
Or, I honestly don't know what to say to that because I personally haven't experienced that same thing, but I have experienced losing someone near and dear to me.
Right.
So, I could relate on certain things and certain things I couldn't. And then, them talking about their past and certain things that they're avoiding. I was able to relate in a small sense of, smoking in my past. That was about as far as it went. I never, you know, I've, I wasn't daring enough to try anything else,
Yeah.
but I had a habit of smoking that I had to cut out, and in this person, they're led by the faith of God, so they have their church as a community, but they're like I don't have a lot of people, you know, in my circle, so
Mm.
that was the main reason why they wanted to utilize that policy too, because it was also um the wee hours of the morning because I work early as shit. So, there's not a lot of people available for you to reach out to at that time.
Yeah.
And just some good things I realized I shared with them was that they had people they wanted to reach out to. And they were coming up with reasons why they didn't want to reach out to those people because of it being a parent of theirs who has dealt with enough of their shit throughout their lifetime, so they don't want to add
Mm.
another thing to their plate, or their pastor who is of a certain age and don't want to really exhaust them with their shit,
Yeah.
and or reaching out to this person because of the time of day, but that person is the relationship they have with that person is for that person to be of their support.
Mhm.
So I'm like, your parents, they chose to have you here. Just because you're over 18 doesn't mean that they're done dealing with you.
Right.
I said, any good parent is there for you regardless of what shit you've gone through,
Mhm.
and especially for this to be dealing with the passing of someone, that's totally different.
Yeah,
You
that's
didn't put yourself in
huge.
a situation.
Yeah.
You're hurt. You're literally hurt. And unfortunately, in this situation, they were heartbroken. So, like, that's a totally different kind of pain. That's a totally different kind of support that's needed. It's
Mhm.
not like, "Oh, yeah, I need you to bail me out." You know?
Right, right.
It's literally, "I just need you to be my support." And then I said, and even with a pastor, they are it don't matter what age they are, they
It's
chose that
job.
job,
Yeah.
you know? They chose to be that support, and I said, "And if someone who is truly of your support and you reach out to them and they tell you, I can't be there for you right now, but they give you another time, don't be beaten up by that because they literally could not get back in contact with you, or they could just tell you no, but not give you a follow up as to when they would be available for you." I said, so until you reach those points, don't rule people out as being unavailable or not being an option.
Yeah. But I think that's a huge point too to make is that, like, a lot of people don't feel comfortable going to the people that are, like, in their circle just because they don't wanna feel like they're burdening them or bothering them, and it's sometimes it's
Right.
so much easier to just go to, like, a stranger. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, I know for me, like, hearing you say that and stuff, and I realize a lot of times, like, I don't talk to people close to me is because I just feel like I'm just, like, word vomiting and, like, I'm gonna, like, bother them when, like, I know they have all this other shit to deal with, like, I don't need to pile on top of that and give you my shit too, you know?
Exactly.
So I
Ding,
totally
ding,
get that.
ding.
Yeah.
Girl, this is why y'all be telling me that I don't show no emotion and this and that. Because I already know everybody has their own stuff going on in their lives. And the
Right.
last people that I want to add shit to their plates or And not that it's their responsibility to take on because I talk about it,
Mhm.
but if people operate like I do, you tell me and I'm just gonna keep thinking about it. I'm just gonna keep thinking about it. I'm just gonna keep thinking about it. It's gonna be on my mind because you
Yeah.
shared it with me.
Right.
So the fact that that's how I process things, I avoid telling other people stuff because I just don't want them to be the same type of processor.
Yeah.
And then now they feel like they have to do something about it, or they feel like they have to be my hero, or they feel obligated in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So I get that. I really get that whole going to someone who's outside your circle. I
Same.
mean, for myself, that's part of the reason why I have a therapist because it's good to have people that you can talk to like almost everything about. But I personally don't feel like you can't talk to everyone about everything,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So having that, you know, safe net person who isn't necessarily a key component of your life as in like your personal relationships, but
Mhm.
at least like a um therapist type of relationship is where you can be able to put those things into the atmosphere. So I kind of took on that therapist role for this associate, you know.
That's cool.
I was kind of there and the associate said numerous times, like, I got them to laugh a few times in there. You know
Mm.
me, I can't go anywhere without a good joke here
You
and
really
there.
yeah.
I'm gonna make you giggle just a little bit. Imma try. Imma at least try. You
Mhm.
know, they cried a few times, which was fine. I was like, "Yo, feel how you're feeling. Stop holding back." I said,
Right.
"Don't be like me and suppress your feelings. It don't get you anywhere. You're just gonna explode later, and it's not gonna be pretty, so
Yeah.
just let it out." I
Mhm.
said, "Just at least release a little bit here and there, and then that way you're just not as bottled up." But
Right.
they said, like, they felt like our interaction was like a set appointment, like, it was arranged to be that way because out of the number of managers we have in our store,
Mm.
I just happened to be the one that was there. The
Right.
associates usually do not even know who the next manager is opening in the morning and this and that.
Oh, really? Mm.
Right, yeah, so it's like they don't usually know, like, the other managers, we know each other's schedules, but the associates don't.
Gotcha.
So the fact that I was the one who was there, and not saying that none of the other managers couldn't have related,
Mhm.
but I find myself to be like that person for people where people are comfortable with just saying, whatever they feel like they need to say, like they're comfortable with me.
Mhm.
And not that, like, once again, not that they're not comfortable with the other managers, but it's like
Right.
weird because I get the same feedback from different people across different situations. So it's really weird, like
Yeah, I
I'm
was just gonna say, how many times do I always tell you that you're always in the right place at the right time? Like, no matter what it is, you're just
you
like
know?
you just always like pop up and you're always there. And it's like
Right.
not intentional. You're not like, "Oh, I'm gonna go be there for this person right now."
No,
It's
I
just
really
it's
don't.
no, but it's
I
just weird.
really don't. And
Yeah.
the thing that made it super weird is that that associate was originally not coming to work.
Mm.
Like they weren't going to come in for their shift
Mhm.
and they were going to go, take care of themselves in another way. And then if you know, they just walk into the building and I'm like, isn't this the same person who called out?
Yeah.
Like what they doing here right now? It's early as hell. But then they're
That's
just like,
awesome though.
"Hey, I just need to talk to you, blah blah blah." I'm like, "All right, cool." So yeah,
Yeah.
it was a touching experience because I've had made connections with people, through losing someone, just like of random conversations or, my go-to bringing my mom up if I can when it's relevant, like
Mhm.
seeing someone in Raiders gear and like, "Oh, my mom loved the Raiders," like just
Yeah.
making some point of connection if I can.
Mhm.
Um I just even learned that another associate lost her mom on Christmas. So for her
Mm.
family, Christmas is just trash.
Yeah, it's
So,
tough. Mhm.
but it was just like, I don't know. It was a really good experience. I think that's the best way I can sum it up is that it was good for that associate and for myself because that associate did also give me the reassurance because I do appreciate people giving me reassurance when I'm there for support.
Yeah.
And he did say that it was a helpful conversation
Well, that's good.
and that they feel a little bit lighter. Obviously, it's still a new wound, so that pain is going to be there for a while.
Right.
And I said the pain may never leave, but you just deal with it better along the journey, which we have mentioned in one of our episodes, by the way. So, thank you, Mindset Talks podcast, for giving me a little hand here with supporting people in the community. this is exactly the whole point of this podcast,
Mhm.
so it was really that was another reason why it was rewarding because I was able to use my resources given to me from my personal experiences, from our experiences we're sharing here on the podcast to be able to help somebody else out just as we're destined to do.
Yeah. And that's huge too, because you could have handled that situation totally different. You could have just, like,
Right.
sat there and listened. You could have not shared your personal experiences, but you
Mhm.
are really good at the one thing I need to work on this year, which is being personable.
The P word.
So, I mean, I think that that's, that's cool too that you're in a place now because it might not have been this way a few years ago, where you were in a
Yeah.
place to where you can actually sit there and listen to them, number 1, and then relate and
Mhm.
kind of, like, just have that dialogue and that back and forth with each other. So, I think that's huge too, and I think it shows a lot of growth on yourself as well,
Well, thank you.
because, I think that we have both hit, like, a point where now is a little easier to kind of, like, address and, like, talk about things a little more openly,
Yes.
than, we would have been a couple years ago, so
A little bitch, a lot more openly. Like, for one, like, for you, I remember the first episode, you were saying stuff, and I'm like, "I didn't even know." Like, I didn't even know. So we're gonna change that a little more openly to a lot more openly because
Yes,
we would
yes.
be lying to our listeners, okay?
It would be, but it's a work in progress here. I'm trying, and the fact that I'm even talking about anything at all is growth for
Huge.
me, so,
It's huge. Like, it is freaking huge, okay?
Yeah.
So
But
there's a lot of growth here.
definitely, and I think that that kind of goes back to the other point too, to where, you're right. I didn't really talk to anybody that was close to me when I was going through anything. Like, yes, I would provide you guys with, like, updates and letting
Right.
you guys know, like, how things are going, but I wouldn't get into the details and, like, everything that, like, I'm really dealing with. So for me, I mean, I don't really I guess I don't know, if we don't really have anything designed as being, like, an open door policy at my job, but I kind
Mhm.
of just created that because I needed to.
Okay, initiator.
Um, so, like, how I believe I brought it up before too is, when I was actually going through it, like, the nitty-gritty of everything, I had actually opened up to a coworker at work because she was the only other person I had known at the time that went through losing a parent, and I just really needed to, like, talk to someone, especially
Right.
because a lot of the stuff that was going on when I wasn't in the hospital was happening when I was at work. And so, trying to deal with that and then work stuff on top of that is extremely difficult. And
Right.
sometimes you just need to kind of have that, like, outlet. And so I would go into, like, details with her, one, because it was happening, like, in that moment, but also it just kind of felt a little better to, like, just talk, obviously not a stranger because we work together,
Right.
but just not someone that who really knows you at that, like, intimate level.
Mhm.
Still, for me, it was really helpful, but, like, in the moment and, like, when I look back at it, I'm still kind of like, like, was that appropriate? Because, like, sometimes, like, I would be, like, crying and, like, the poor
Mhm.
person, like, does not do well with, like, tears. So, sorry about that, but it really did help me at the end of the day.
Right.
And so, I don't know, it was just, like, easier than coming to you and, like, crying to you
Mhm.
on the phone or something and being like, "Oh, like, this just happened." Like, I know you would have listened,
Right, right.
but I don't know, it just would have been different, especially because you weren't going through this at the time either.
Yeah, so it's
So,
just you
yeah,
didn't know what you're gonna get, and you just, like, didn't wanna have expectations on the responses that you're going to get from the person that you were venting or talking to.
right.
It's just because it's like I don't know, I personally don't wanna give, like, people in my circle the opportunity to fail because I feel like I need a specific kind of response or,
Mhm.
like, a specific kind of feedback, but if I go to someone who I really don't have expectations of, like, I just need to get this out,
Right.
it does help to, like, make it a little bit easier because it's just like, I don't know what the hell you're gonna say or do, but listen, this is what I got right now, and I need to get it off my chest, you know?
Right.
And then
Yeah,
also too,
it's different.
it's it's I don't wanna say, like, respectable or respectful, but it's nice when other people, like that person who was there for you,
Mhm.
are able to put themselves aside and realize that it's not always about ourselves, but we
Mhm.
have to work as a community and be there for each other.
Right.
And, they did that. And I think that's big on their part as well. If they wanted to be there or not, they were there,
Right.
like, and we're
Definitely.
not obligated to do anything, but it's
None at
just,
all.
a
You coulda
very
just said,
kind
"Nope."
thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you done cried 100 times this week. I'm over this shit. You got to go somewhere else.
Right, yeah. It could have
You
been
didn't get
different.
hit with any of that. So
Mm-mm.
that's great. But
Yeah.
it definitely does make living through this a little easier because I'm able to talk about it and not harbor my feelings so much and can just, I guess, engage with more people who have experienced the same.
Mhm.
Because, not that like you going through it before I even have like isn't enough of someone that going through the same thing,
Mm.
but just knowing that, there's a community of people who literally, have the same pains, and then not just knowing that there's a community, but knowing some of the people in the community also helps to make a difference. Because I've
Right.
come across quite a few people that I even work with at my job right now
Mm.
that are missing a parent, and it's not like they're all older than me either.
Yeah.
So
It's crazy.
yeah, it's just like, oh gosh, like I feel you, like I feel you.
Yeah.
But and you can read people. Obviously, if they're coworkers and you've worked with them long enough, you know who you can and can't talk to about that stuff.
Exactly.
You
Definitely.
know, I don't talk to everyone about it, but
Yeah.
I've gotten to pull a little bit out of a few people. Just got them to share a little bit of their life info and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but, it wasn't to be malicious. It was just I'm a curious person, and I just have an acquiring mind, and I just like to know kind of how other people function and process from certain things.
Yeah. It is, yeah, it's definitely interesting when you do find people that you can have that conversation with and just see the differences, even when we had
Mm,
Crystal on the show and we talked to her and just hearing her perspective
yes.
and things, it's always eye-opening, and I do think it is helpful because you just I don't know, you just get that platform to just kind of, get it off of your chest, and it
Mhm.
helps relieve it just a little bit.
Mhm. Yes. I definitely agree on that.
So,
But yeah, that's been on my mind lately. That's just been my key reflection on how much more I'm able to share these experiences because, like you said, right after going through it, there was no talking about it.
mm-mm.
Like, I waited quite some time to even get a therapist to even talk to them about it,
Yeah.
let alone to just talk to anyone else. So,
And kudos to you for that, because I remember I was going through it, really bad one day at work. I don't remember specifically, what happened, but it was just, therapy was, just on my mind, so heavy for, a
mhm,
couple of days or whatever, and through my job, we have, this whole EAP, employee assistance program or whatever it's called, and they
mhm,
provide different kinda, therapy and stuff like that for you, and I drafted this email to, sign up for it for, a bereavement counselor or whatever, and I think I did hit send, and they, responded back, and, it's kinda like a little back and forth, chatter about, how to, set up an appointment and stuff, but then,
mhm.
I just, stopped responding because 'cause I'm like, "You know what? I can't, go through with this because
Oh,
I really it was, on the top of, my heart, I really felt like I had to, find someone to talk about because it was really, fucking with me,
yeah.
but I don't know, I couldn't bring myself to actually, make the appointment and sit down and talk to somebody about it. I couldn't do it.
Oh my gosh, I wonder how much
Mm.
different or same you would be if you did follow through with that. I just wonder how it would
I
have
don't know.
impacted you, if any impact at all.
Yeah, I don't know. And that was probably it might have been, a year after, maybe
Mhm.
maybe between, a year and 2 years after, I just felt, the need that, I had to start talking about this,
Yeah.
but I couldn't do it.
Oh my goodness.
So here I am today starting a podcast 4 years later. Being
Yes.
able to talk about it a little bit better, so, I
On
guess
your
maybe
own
for
time.
this, yeah, and it's a little more rewarding too because, yeah, I can go and sit into, talk to, a therapist or whatever, but yes, it helps me, but I've never been the person to try to help me, I'm always, trying to help other people, So I
before
guess this
yourself.
is kind of a way to help me and others at the same time.
Look at you, double dipping.
Two birds with one stone.
Yes. Was that that weird throat thing? Every time.
See, my dad always just reminds me, like, "Hey, bitch,
Yeah, peekaboo.
I'm here."
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
but I have gotten
Uh,
enough throat appointments, I think, that I know that I don't have anything wrong with me. So I'm just,
right. Just a little froggy, that's all. Just
whatever.
a little worked up around the, topic. No big deal.
Per usual,
Just
I think I pretty
yeah.
much almost tear up every episode. So you know,
Yeah.
work in
Wow.
progress.
I got you, girl. I got you. But
Like,
that's all I got for gems today, girl. I just wanted
well,
to share my inner thoughts. What you got?
well, just on the topic of my daddy. Um,
Yes.
by the time this episode drops on Tuesday, my dad's birthday will be the next day, February 2nd, Groundhog Day. And yes, it was also one of his favorite movies.
Sorry. I don't know why I laughed so hard.
So I just have to put it out there now and just ask everybody if you would like to go ahead and buy a Boston cream donut in his honor because it was his favorite and I will be doing so. And if everybody else would like to hop on the bandwagon, go ahead
Yes.
and get yourself a donut or an
Boston
eclair or a cake, whatever, as long as it's Boston cream.
in honor of Cass's daddy. And
Hmm.
also take a picture with this Boston cream or
Yes.
eclair or cake and tag us at Mindset Talks Podcast on Instagram if you're on Instagram. So
Hmm.
that way we can see everyone who's enjoying and honoring Cassie's dad.
That'd be so cool, actually.
No, I think it would be like the dopest shit. So
I think so too.
y'all better post it because we want to see it.
Oh,
No pressure, no pressure, no pressure.
not at
Yeah.
all.
No. No.
But that's
I
all.
want to
I
see it
just wanted
post.
to just put that out there because it's going to be dropping around the same time frame. And I'll steal Amanda's thunder and remind everybody to make sure that you go ahead and
The nerve.
follow us on all of your favorite platforms to include Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And while you're at it, go ahead and click that like button. Don't forget to comment something. And if you're not already, subscribe.
Subscribe. Yeah, she stole my thunder, but what she said, I agree. All that. Please do. We'll be waiting for you. But thank you for tuning in again. We definitely appreciate everyone's love and support. And until the next episode.
Talk to you guys later.